Hey, how's everybody doing? Thank you for watching the replay of this video. I am going to let everyone know that I am live by sharing this on my other social media platforms. So, I am live. Join me now for your free reading. All right, go ahead and share that. It is posted to Facebook. So thank you so much for watching. I decided to do this video tonight on my life in the Navy. Hoorah, Navy, be Army. Because actually, this would have been my 11th day in boot camp. This is my 11th day in boot camp 16 years ago. I joined the Navy February 10th, 2003. So this was my 11th day away from home. How you doing, Ruby? Malak Pearson, how are you doing? Thank you for joining me here. So, if you have any questions, everyone in the room, if you have any questions or any feedback, if you're a veteran, let me know. And I wanted to speak on this today because there is a hidden side to being in the military that not a lot of people talk about, especially when you're on the outside looking in and you're going to join. Your recruiter won't tell you these things because, it's their job to sell you the military. And a lot of people, once they join and get to boot camp and get to their first command, they want to. Kareem is in the house. Kareem, I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Actually, I wish that it was a way on here that we can do, where you can join me like there is on Facebook where you can join in. Because, man, talking about my experience, listen to Kareem. Like I said, connect with him. Subscribe to his channel, Kareem Gideon Music on Instagram. He has a project coming that is sure to impress, that is sure to please, that is going to just be out of this world. But yeah, you don't know about it until you're actually in. And once you're in, it's too late to get out and get away. So, yeah, I bring this up because of this story. I'll start with this article that came out today that kind of had me thinking and pondering, and then I'll get into, my story behind it. And I hope that a lot of people watch this before they go and join the military, because I know a lot of parents and people on the outside, they encourage their children to go join the military. They think they're getting this. They really don't know what they're sending their child off to get into, including those who are veterans who encourage their children to join and don't really give them the rundown on what to really expect, what they're really getting into. It really sucks. And me, I didn't have any immediate family members who were in the military that I can go ask questions to or things like that. I just had to find out on my own. So like I said, I joined when I was 17, and I finished high school early. Now, that's one thing I will give credit to my recruiter for, because I was on track to, being like a regular high schooler and just finishing that summer of 2003. But I give credit to my recruiter who told me about a program, an accelerated high school program that actually helped me finish high school early. I was done with my high school classes in February. And as soon as I got done with high school on that Thursday in February, I left that Sunday to go into the Navy to go to boot camp. So he actually helped me get out of Cincinnati sooner. And I thank him for that. I credit him for that. And, once I got up there, got to boot camp, it was just crazy. Like being in Great Lakes, north of Chicago. That was a cold that I had not experienced being a Cincinnati girl. I thought I knew some snow. I thought I knew lake effect snow and being on the rivers, being below zero, catching a bus. I thought I knew about that cold. Once I got up to Great Lakes, oh my gosh, no way. That's hell frozen over up there. The last one, how are you? And immediately, I noticed being in boot camp, you're around a lot of different people. And that was the first time that I had actually seen another woman naked, because we have these open bay showers. It was all open. So I saw, people who lost weight to get into the military. So they had, just a lot of stuff going on. And I never saw other women's breasts and stuff. So that was the culture shock for me. Like, what the hell? The worst thing about it, I don't believe they're doing this now in the Navy, but then you had to get a haircut. So They cut my damn hair. I had went to Miss Marion. Those in Cincinnati would know her shop is called Marion's Touch of the Town or Talk of the Town. I went to her to get my hair done and trimmed before I went into the Navy. Yeah, they cut my damn hair to look like this. This was me. They cut my god dang on hair, and they took one of those little thin free combs you get and pulled it, they spray it with water, then pull it down and then cut your stubs. By the time it bounced back up, it's shorter than what it is. But yeah, that's what they did to you, girl. Cut my hair like that, just messed it all up. It snowed during my passing review. I was shoveling snow like a day before graduation. So when I was there, I realized that okay, I didn't know how to swim. Being from the city, I didn't know how to swim, so I had to learn how to swim while I was there. Um, you also would experience the people in charge in different branches is called the drill sergeants, but in the Navy it was the RDCs. And you experience those who either, I mean, you didn't know if they was playing or really serious. Like they'll get in your face and cuss you out, call you bad words. You know, I was called a lot of stuff. Me and a friend of mine was Twinkle D and Twinkle Dumb. Yeah, they just call you all types of bad words, and there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing at all. You just got to sit there and take it. And you be thinking like, man, I want to go home. And you'll hear stories of people that try to escape boot camp. I know there was a story when I was there of someone who tried to leave and get on the train that came past the boot camp, but they got hit by a train or fell under the tracks and died. I don't know how true that was, but it happened. The one thing I hated was any little thing that the for the sake of just common terms, I'll use the term drill sergeant. Anything they got pissed off about, if you didn't march right, if you didn't do this, if you didn't know your chain of command, if you didn't know Navy history, you didn't know something, they did this thing called IT, and I forgot what it stood for, but what it was is you had to do exercise until you die. So you'll just take the worst one's when you just take a shower, because they only allowed you to take one shower a day, and that was usually before you went to bed. So you got that shower in, and did the whole day of bullshit, and then they want to get mad about something, or somebody fuck up, somebody's bed ain't made right, somebody didn't fold their clothes right. You out there doing all kinds of jumping jacks until you die, push-ups till you die, 8-count bodybuilders till you die, you on your belly, Mr. Shark, don't eat me, some kind of plank. You gotta do all that shit until you die. So by the time you get in the bed, you all sweaty, and you're just like, man, this be about that bull, because you go to bed at a certain time, they call it taps, but they guarantee to wake you up at a certain time. So it was some bull. So then further along down in boot camp, you get this thing called for the Navy, it was battle stations. And what battle stations consisted of, it's like simulating if the ship is going down and, different events that happen in the Navy that, cause casualties. They'll put you in this stressful situation so that you can work your way out of it. And I'm going to angle this computer because it looks like, I'm sitting here topless, but I'm not. That's better. And I made a mistake because me and two other recruits, that's what it was. Our drill sergeants allowed me and two other girls to go to the Navy Exchange to purchase hair relaxers so that we could relax our hair for graduation. And we thought the RDC was going, or the drill sergeant was going to go with us, but they said we can go by ourselves. We like, cool. So we walk into the Navy Exchange to get our hair relaxers. And this was a day before battle stations. And we get up there like, we see other people in the store who are further along in boot camp or have graduated boot camp. And so they're in the store, buying candy bars, buying Doritos, buying junk and pop. And we like, I wonder if we could do that. So we were like, let's try it. So I remember this. After 8 weeks of boot camp, I went ahead and I bought a Three Musketeers, and I bought some Chips Ahoy Oreo or whatever it was called. It was like Chips Ahoy chocolate chip cookies. And then we were like, if we could pay for these and get away with it, then we're going to go and use the pay phones to call our family. And so we got away with paying for it. We got the hair relaxers. I got my candy bar. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that Three Musketeers bar was the best in my life. But I paid for it later, and I'm gonna tell you how. So after we got done paying for everything, we went to go use the pay phones because we was purchasing phone cards. We didn't have cell phones back then, really. It was the phone cards. So I called my sister. I called called my grandmother. I called anybody who would answer the phone. And so we stood there talking on the phone, and then we went back to, we called it a ship. That was our building. But let me tell you, when battle station started that night, them Three Musketeers ran up out of me. And so they'll give us like a minute to go use the bathroom. I'm in the bathroom for that minute, getting rid of those Three Musketeers bars because you don't have any junk food that whole time. So when I introduced that to my system, here I am running, doing battle stations, and we get to that next minute, I'm in line just, ooh, my muscles are strong. Then I have to go get rid of it. You said Navy CV here, been there. They called us sand sailor. Yes. And then when I got to A school, it was a little weird, a little weird. I had this one girl that I was in boot camp with. We ended up being in the same A school, and that's where we leave boot camp and we go to receive, a crash course on whatever job we have in the military. And so that was my first time really experiencing somebody saying something nasty to me, because she said something. I really forget what it was. I can't remember it, but she said something, and so I went and told on her to one of the first classes that was downstairs. I told on her like hell. She got in trouble for it. But yeah, you get mixed up with people from different backgrounds, who still have their ideologies and their views against, Black people. You have some men who don't like women, and it goes on and on. And once I got out to my ship, that's when I really saw a piece of the world that was real crappy. I experienced um senior, and I'll put this out there, not all senior personnel are leaders. They're not, because a lot of them are just there because they showed up to work every day and they happen to pass advancement exams and they just re-enlisted. It's not people who are there who are true leaders, not many of them who are true leaders who, develop fine personnel and do a damn good job. A lot of them, like myself, who are not out there with vendettas to get people, or just have these ulterior motives for being in the military. You see it as this glorious thing to where you can, better your life, serve the world, serve the community, or whatever. But yeah, some nasty people out there who, are racist. There are people who are sexist, and there's people who are just mentally fucked up, and they're out there. I mean, to join the military, you don't take a psychological evaluation. You show up to medical, and if you're on like psychotropic drugs or something, you can get a waiver. But unless there's ways to hide stuff. If you're batshit crazy, you can hide that as long as you have 10 working fingers, 10 working toes, and your private parts match the box you check on the form, you good to go. Because when you go to MEPS, they're looking for surgery scars, just different things to disqualify you from coming in. But at the time that I was going in, they needed people. So a lot of people got waivers and stuff got bypassed and stuff like that. But all in all, there isn't a psychological evaluation. And there's no question. I mean, the question that will weed people out is that, are you a conscious objector or something? But, and I know I'm jumping around. I'm trying to get as much information out there before, I click off, or, I don't leave any stones unturned. That person who's thinking about joining the military and they watch my video, I hope I answer their questions or present them with information for them to make a educated choice whether to join or not. And but yeah, people bring their mentalities in. So if you get past MEPS and you don't have any, like, obvious hate tattoos or stuff like that, and you kind of sort of could, because I don't know, you can't have tattoos. but you can't have them in places that will disqualify you or you'll get a waiver. But if you have a tattoo that whoever's inspecting them, they do not catch the meaning behind it, you can get away with it. Or if you don't have any tattoos, after you pass that first initial screening in MEPS, you can do whatever you want to your body as long as nobody else finds out about it. And to say that, I've seen a lot of people, get certain tattoos that are affiliated with different hate groups and, that identify them as being with a certain demographic, and nothing happens. Even being on the ship, you'll see people once they are on liberty, they'll wear certain t-shirts or have certain clothing or decorate their cars with certain emblems and stuff like that on it that will identify them as being, you know, these other people. Get a waiver for them. Kareem said, did they do abandoned ship? Yeah, where we jump off the platform with our uniforms on and try to swim and stuff. Yeah, we had did that in battle stations. And that kind of led me up to talking about what I saw today that was trending was a lieutenant Coast Guard. Yeah, a Coast Guard lieutenant. I think I said that backwards. A Coast Guard lieutenant was arrested for planning or allegedly plotting to become a domestic terrorist. And that made me think, like, wow, he's not the only one. He's not the only one. And some of the things that raised red flags about this guy and had me thinking about my service in the military, was that he exhibited a lot of behaviors that a lot of the upper chain of command and my coworkers exhibited while being active duty. He started out in the Marines, and then he went to like an Army National Guard or something, and then now he was in the Coast Guard. And when you hear Coast Guard, you really don't hear too much about them. They're usually on the icebreakers. You really hardly ever see them. Hey Gino, how are you? I know I'm live right now, and like I know Tariq is live. I'm like, dang it, everybody live at the same time. So I was like wondering, should I go live or should I hold on, with this so that we can watch their streams first. But I thank you guys for joining me over here, and that's what we up here talking about. Is this guy, and so jumping from branch to branch to branch. I've worked for some guys who did that. I knew I worked for this one guy. He was in like Desert Storm, and then he spent some time out of the military, and then he came back into the Navy, and he was a butthole. Like, he was evil. Like, there was legit something wrong with him because he made our work center just terrible. And this was one of the first guys I worked for when I got to the ship. And I noticed with this Coast Guard lieutenant here, it looks like one of the reasons he got caught is because he was using his work computer to Google a lot of this stuff. And I've seen that before where guys I would work for in my chain of command, they'll watch porn on work computers. Back, when I came in, cell phones and iPhones and iPods and people having their own laptops and tablets was not a big thing. So to have access to any computers, it was the work computers. They will put in, porn DVDs and, just use the work computers as if it was their own personal system. And it'd be out in the open, they do all this shit and nothing ever happens to them. They still got advanced, they still, stayed there. They never got caught because it was something that was widely done. If you go tell on this guy to that guy, they gonna just tell each other how to hide it better because he's doing the same thing too. And yeah, and I really appreciate there are certain laws and things that have come out, when people use government computers for the wrong reason. They was doing everything from buying children, child porn, all on government computers. And so I'm really happy that whoever it was that worked in the IT department, flagged that and, did what they had to do to, disrupt whatever this Lieutenant Coast Guard guy was doing. And you said, do I know him? I'll run the name by you later. Yeah. And so, yes, and on certain reports, it's saying that this lieutenant, he was the supply officer. And that's a big thing because it's not widely spread how persons in these supply positions in the military, a lot of supplies come up missing. A lot of, weapons are unaccounted for. They come up missing, body armor, a lot of stuff disappears, and they hardly ever talk about that. So to see him and how he stockpiled, weapons and ammunition, I think the amount of ammo that he had on hand was like 1,000 rounds. That's not, crazy. That's average. People are expected to have about 1,000 rounds on hand. I think I put like 500 rounds down range when I was at the range last time. So 1,000 rounds, not really out there. But he had like 15 weapons, but his where they're trying to get, apply a charge and hopefully hold him on was the combination of drugs and guns. He was ordering drugs from Mexico, and he also had like a whole bunch of the human growth hormone on hand. And I personally knew guys who were in the military and on the civilian side who was getting this human growth hormone and other types of steroids, because a lot of times certain things don't appear on drug tests, and that's if they get selected to take one. So they'll be on this stuff and they'll have side effects where, fights will break out in the work center. They'll just be so overly fucking aggressive, just come out of nowhere wanting to just rip your head off for something so little. And then on top of that, they're not eating right. They eating all types of fast food. They get off work and drink a whole 12-pack of beer and come back the next day and just be on some maniac type stuff. And that's one thing that really, you know, was pushing me to get out of the Navy when I was in, because, I noticed it was one time they were bringing in food onto the boat, and so it was in boxes. So it was like, institutional use, no. Hospital use, no. Military, okay. And that's when I put it together, like, man, this is like the worst food ever, because there was a big difference. When I was active duty, I really felt at times I was malnutrition, because okay, I would spend majority of my time at work. So, I'll eat breakfast and lunch there. And if I had duty, I ate dinner there. And then if I wanted to skip that, whatever was available on base, like McDonald's or Taco Bell, or I have like a Manchu wok or something, that's still the worst food ever. My health like really suffered. Like when I look at myself when I was active duty and certain ways that I felt, I'm like, wow, I was really in a bad place. But after I got out and I started, taking care of myself, and, I made my own meals and I had access and I learned more about how to eat properly, I feel like I'm aging backwards, like this was your girl, in boot camp, and here I am now. I really feel like I'm getting better, and I feel better than I did at 18. Well, I feel better now than I did at 18. And but yeah, I experienced a lot being a woman, a Black woman. It was times where when after I had my son, they knew good and goddamn well that daycare didn't open until 6 o'clock in the morning. But then you'll tell me you'll write me up if I'm not at work at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, okay, this be that bull. And this was coming from men who had a civilian wife, and they'll keep her pregnant, and then I'll have a girlfriend that got pregnant on the boat. So I ain't even gonna go all into that. But they complain about, me showing up when I got there because, dropping my son off at daycare. His dad had to be on the boat at the same time, things like that. But it's like, your wife keep having kids every 9 months, and you keep taking all this leave where I got to stand extra watches and cover for you, but because I have daycare, you have a problem and you want to tell me nasty stuff like, your child didn't come in your sea bag. It was very, very anti-mother when I was active duty. And the sick part about it was I had my son in November, and come the end of January, I'm checking off of shore duty, heading back to go on sea duty. I had no time to really recover and to really, bond with my baby because I had to go back to work so quick. And then I was out to sea. Kareem, remember, I went out to sea with him in his ship right after they had came back off deployment that next year. I was out to sea with them, and my baby, he was at home with his dad. And at that time, we didn't even have time to become a parent or to become unified parents because his dad just came back off deployment. Then here's your baby, and then next thing you know, I'm going out to sea. It was real crappy. Like we didn't have a chance to bond or become a family because it's really anti-family. It really was at that time. The one thing I do know is that since then, convalescent leave is longer, shore duty, things like that. But it still comes up with a childcare issue, and with those things, people really prey on the fact that women and families in the military need childcare. So wherever you're at, you're gonna pay out the ass for childcare, and sometimes it won't be the best because your child still will have mysterious injuries and a whole bunch of other stuff. But they know you can't do nothing about it because you gotta go to work. You are under that contract, so you have to find somewhere to drop off the baby because your family isn't there. So they're gonna take advantage of that. Um, Another one is, going back to that Coast Guard lieutenant. Okay, as Black people or people who are coming out of a situation where you just want to join the military, for some college money to get out of your situation, the way I did, you kind of accept anything. The detailers know that you're coming from a desperate place because you don't have an agenda. You just want to join the military. I just want to join the military. So you'll be assigned a job rating that you would devote the next 5 or 4 or more years of your life doing. And that rating may not be marketable on the outside. For example, I joined the Navy as an aviation bosun fuels. What that means was that I was responsible for the receipt, transfer, stowage, filtration, purification, and what is it called? Supply of JP5, jet fuel number 5, to aircraft on the flight deck. That's what I was responsible for. Meaning when we got jet fuel from, a supply ship, we received it, we put it in our tanks. It sat there in our tanks so that the jet fuel will sit on top of water and the sand that is in it, and then we'll strip off that water and sand at the bottom. We'll take the fuel that's on top, we'll filter it to remove any other sludge and sediment. We'll purify it using different equipment. We'll sample it, make sure it meets standards, and then we send it to the flight deck. And the other ABFs on the flight deck will take, a hose. It kind of mimics the airport. They'll take the hose and fuel the aircraft, and send it off. That was my job. So it sounds real cool. It sounds so good, doesn't it? And so with all that, I was responsible for maintenance of the pumps, maintenance of the equipment used to do that. So I would be doing something like oiling valves or changing spec flanges or knowing what the specific gravity and flash point was of JP5, stuff like that. Sounding tanks. Sounding tanks mean if this is a tank, I would be standing right here, and I have to send this little we'll call it a tape measure that has this thing at the bottom called a plumb bob. Kareem, it's funny, I still remember all that. And I'm looking like I have a fishing line, and I send this plumb bob all the way down to the bottom of that tank. And then I will pull it up. So where on that tape measure, I see a demarcation of fuel. That's how much fuel I have in that tank. I'll write it down, and then I'll let my supervisors know that's how much fuel is in that tank. They'll use a calculation that goes by the dimensions of that tank and my measurement to say how many gallons is in that tank. Yeah. That's what I did. And I devoted 5 years of my life to that. And I am not doing that on the outside. I had no clue, or I had no plans to go work at the airport to go and, fuel aircraft. That's not what I wanted to do. That's not my thing. I never caught an airplane until I left to go to boot camp. And I know Kareem, he was also ABF as well. And he, if you don't mind me saying, he tried to apply, his rating as ABF at the airport, but then the airport had, a major layoff. So that really sucked. But they put us in ratings that we can't do on the outside. It's not profitable on the outside. And that's why, I'm really against, just going blindly. When you go to MEPS to get, a, a rating assigned to you. When I went, I wanted to be a firefighter. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a firefighter. And they was like, yeah, you get to do aircraft firefighting. But I worked in a pump room, and rarely did our planes catch fire. And you only do these aircraft firefighting drills, and they're just drills, every so often if you're on shore duty. And I never made it to shore duty because I got out at the end of my sea duty tour. And that's another thing. You just think like, oh, I get to be here for a certain amount of time and go here and go there. These places, these duty stations suck ass. I mean, if it had been the way they planned it, I would have been on the Reagan for like 4 years, and the Reagan sucked ass. There was, when it was time for the Reagan to go to San Diego, a lot of, and I know people gonna get pissed off and like, oh, you're making this about race, but it's what I lived through. My chain of command started to get replaced with a lot of Hispanic sailors from the West Coast, from California. And around the time when I had informed my chain of command that I was pregnant with my son, that's when this whole thing came on, like, oh, these females just get pregnant so they don't have to go out to sea. These females get pregnant. And I was like, whoa, I mean, shit, you got me out here. I'm 18, I can fall in love. Fuck you, I'm grown. But these people have like pictures on their desk, and they got like 7 kids, like, but you want to get mad at me because I got one. When was your firstborn? So yeah, so this one chief, he was his Hispanic chief that took over my department. And so when I gave him the paper, like, hey, it's been confirmed at medical, I'm pregnant this many weeks. His attitude just straight flipped. He was like, you just want to get pregnant and don't think that you're going to get out the door and work, because I'll send your ass to go stand watch in the smoke pit. And I'm like, I don't even smoke. And first of all, I'm fucking pregnant. Why the fuck would you send me out to the smoke pit to stay and watch, you stupid son of a bitch? So then he came back down. I'm like, I ain't doing that. Leave me alone. So then he sent my third class, because I was a E2 at the time. So he sent somebody else. I think the second class and the third class came down and told me, you need to crawl down in this manhole and pull out all this equipment that we have. And the manhole is, okay, you have a floor. You have a subfloor. And so we used to have a hatch or a manhole cover that you could open it up. You crawl down, but you can't stand up. Once you get down there, you have to crawl to get like different equipment that we used to store down there. You need to go down in the manhole cover and pull out all this stuff. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Okay. That's dangerous. I'm pregnant. I'm not going there. Because you can't stand up. It's dark. So you have a battle lantern and you're in there. I'm like, I ain't going in there. So then the chief come down and he started going off again. And it was like he wanted to make my life hell or make me flip out to have a reason to send me to captain's mast or something. I don't know. But that still sticks with me, 15 years later. So that's what happened to me. And I did not like that. And that was really uncalled for. And then as I mentioned earlier, when you have a small child, this was like a year after that. We have a small child, they get sick. You have them in daycare, they get sick all the damn time. And I remember I had requested off. I called in like, hey, my son is sick, and daycare says I can't bring him if he has a temperature. Well, you need to come here and muster and do this. So I showed up, me and my son, we showed up. And so they get mad. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? It was really crazy. It was not tough. I mean, it was not easy, being a mom active duty, it was really crazy. Then, another thing that is not talked about a lot is just the stress of being out there. I've had a lot of people who I know of who have died mysteriously out to sea or committed suicide. And um oh goodness, I can just go on and on about that. But yeah, that's one thing you want to consider before joining the military, because you'll be in these hostile work environments and you really don't have anybody to rescue you out of them. Like, who do you go complain to? I remember I had wrote a special request sheet to have my birthday off because you can't take leave, or how they say you can't take leave for just one day. So I said, well, hey, can I have special liberty for my birthday? And they denied it. I'm like, what the hell? Because it was another guy. He wanted to. Well, he wrote his up to get special liberty to go get his vehicle inspected, and this was in Virginia where they had state inspections. So he got special liberty to go and get a state inspection for his car. But I can't get off for my birthday. So that's what I did. So once they denied it, I went to the EO office and I'm like, hey, my special request should have my birthday off got denied, but there is a male who he wrote his up to go get a state inspection that got approved. So this is not fair. So the EO chief, sat there and acted like she was my friend, like, yeah, okay, I got it. So I know they have to go and investigate. So she went and talked to the chief that denied mine, because I'm like, if you want to deny it, I think it's supposed to go all the way up to the CO to bottom line and deny it. It can't just stop at you. So she went to go holler at him. And so he pulls me into the office with somebody else, and they have a moment of just going off on me. And, we have a workload, we have a backlog, we have this. But he ain't have nothing to argue that, okay, you let the male counterpart off, but I can't get off. And he could not pull that, well, you have daycare issues or this is that, because this other one, he had a special needs child, so he was always off himself, and some other guys had like a sick wife. So we all had stuff going on, but we were still there at work. But still, you denied my special request shit, but you allowed the other guy to have one too. And so he want to just cuss me out and bitch me out, all kinds of other stuff. But at the end of the day, he approved my damn special request shit to get off of 24 hours of special liberty, little bastard. And that's the thing, this is what they don't tell you about. So when it comes to this upper chain of command, they're not leaders. Sometimes they're real fucked up and they just happen to make it through the ranks, like this Coast Guard lieutenant. And for this guy to jump branches, but then have these ideologies to take out these certain people. And, I'm trying to watch and see how this unfolds, because, I'm watching them try to turn this into a political thing. And right now we have to be very, very careful to, make sure that our emotions aren't toyed with as we get closer and closer to an election and stuff like that. We have to make sure that is not toyed with. But a lot of the ones who have these ideologies and racist, like domestic terrorists and stuff, they're in the military, because that's where they receive, training, access to items that normally they couldn't buy, especially with this day and age right now, how we order everything online. So everything is documented, from your credit card, your search engine, delivery address. You can't buy anything in secret anymore. You can't. So your only way to get access to it is to, do illegal things to get it, stealing it, however you acquire it to keep your digital footprint off of it. That's the way they're doing it. But then also with the training, you know a lot of the veterans that I know are very open, to wanting to share their expertise to make different scenarios and different platforms better. For instance, a lot of us who come out of the military, I can't say a lot of us because I didn't have it, but a lot of people who have, tactical training and certain skills, they'll come back and teach it to us, so that when we go into these hot calls or these hot situations, we have a little bit more insight on how to respond, to go to it safely and save that life, or do what we have to do to intervene in that dangerous situation. The crazy part about it, enough of the good guys that we have is those who want to use that for, evil things. So that's another threat component that we have to look into as well. Like, okay, here we are trying to do good, but we have someone that wants to take us out or do stuff like that to prevent good being done. They have, evil intentions. And that's why sometimes when people tell me, thank you for your service, or when it comes up to being Veterans Day and you can go out and get the free dinner here and get it there, after what I've experienced in the military, and I'm not painting everybody with that, because I have a lot of friends who are veterans who have done great things and continue to live honorably, who've done good things. We have to share that title with some shit bags, with some real trash ass people, and they get to call themselves a veteran. They get to go out and get all the joy of being a veteran, but they were the ones who were the biggest terrors. They were the ones who made it hell for everybody. They're the ones who you know joined the military so that they have a alibi, a scapegoat, or a cover for all the evil shit that they've done. And I'm gonna take a moment to plug in my other channel, Surviving Military Domestic Violence. Go ahead and subscribe and check out my other channel. Because this Coast Guard lieutenant, his defense attorney is like, he should have bail to go home and be with his wife. I can say one of two things. One, okay, this dude is hopped up on human growth hormones, have ideologies to kill people and kill his words, kill everybody on the planet, get access to, chemical warfare or whatever, and kill people, but you want to send him home to his wife. Maybe for her that was a good thing, like, get that motherfucker away from me. I mean, I'm trying to fucking get away. Or she could be, in agreement with him and supporting him. We all saw the movie Black Klansman, how the wives supported the husbands in their extremist views. So it's one of two things that we have to ponder. We can't let that get past us. Kareem said, I've seen 4 people who have killed themselves. Yep, it happens. The goat locker was a strange place. And that's one thing too, like, they will close ranks. They will close ranks. I've seen that not only being active duty, but also, in my domestic violence situation. When I reported domestic violence and I really hope that someone would, intervene and stop it, they closed ranks. They came together and coached, my abuser on how to testify, coached him on how to get out of stuff. They half-heartedly investigated it and just, well, shit, you'll get divorced soon and it'll all be over. But the thing of it is, it's all happened to them. And I think thank the universe for sending me, other people, other men who have served on submarines who are not like that. They're like, yeah, it's a fucked up place down there. I've seen some shit, and that's why I'm trying to get out. And it's not uncommon to have a senior officer, such as a captain or a lieutenant, who got like 3 divorces under his belt, got, some things he's been arrested for, but they just close ranks and help each other get out of it. They'll go to captain's mast, get busted down, pick up the next rank and stay in and keep pushing. They all come together and cover some stuff up. I talked about how it was advertised a couple of weeks ago about the submarine captain who had 10 prostitutes overseas. And as I'm reading the story, as it keeps getting, circulated, yes, that captain did that. He tried to recruit other submariners to come on and get some prostitutes too, but there was a couple others too who dropped dime on him. Appreciate them for dropping dime, because if it wasn't for them, he probably would not have been caught. But the thing of it is, he didn't get kicked out the Navy. He just got sent somewhere else, so he's good. He don't have to go to work on a submarine no more. He probably has better working hours wherever he's at. Got to deal with the embarrassment for a minute, but there's still a family that he has to go home to. So I'm pretty sure there's some other adverse shit that's happening at the house. So how do you intervene to protect these other people from this monster? Yes, I'm going to call him a monster, because and as I said, not all senior personnel are leaders. The commanding officer is the most senior person at a command, but you picking up prostitutes, you're not a fucking leader. You are not. And you said EO was bullshit. Really, it was, because the EO that I reported to was a chief. She went to my chief, told him, close ranks. And after that, I still got retaliation, and I'm just like, man, fuck this command. And what ultimately ended up happening was I needed foot surgery. And I needed 2 foot surgeries, and I got the hell up off that damn boat. He said, I met a lot of really good people, but I was shocked how many bigoted, dangerous, and ignorant people that I ran into. It's especially scary when they outrank you. Exactly. Because like I said, they will close ranks, and then they will, okay, let's say you hit traffic, you come to work late. That's something that you can't control. As long as you look, what in my time, cell phones were becoming popular, but it really wasn't. So it's like, look, I'm just running late. It happens. Traffic happens. But they'll sweep that under the rug. Then something else will happen. And then at the end, if they focus on you and zero in, they'll have the influence to get other people to zero in on you, and they'll bully you, they'll harass you, they'll make a hostile work environment, they'll threaten to get you kicked out, just to the extreme to either drive you crazy, make you go AWOL or UA and leave, or make you act out, because they just torn at you and backed you into a corner. So all you have left too is to fight to get out of it, but then you get in trouble. But who do you run to? Who do you report this to get help if your chain of command is fucked up? Who do you report this to make it stop? And if I could have done anything different, now this happened when I was on the police department. I had I can bring it up. I had a sergeant who his background was that he was in the Marine Corps, but he was also a bigot. He did not like Black people at all, and he particularly did not like me. And so when he decided to come after me, because I testified and one of his buddies got fired. Well, he got convicted and then had to force retire. That's when a target got on my back. So he would just act out on every little thing. I remember I had a late dispatch. I was dispatched to something late. And so after I investigated, I have to do the report or do the accident report or something. So it was time for, us to get off work, but you can just get overtime if you're still actively working. So I'm like, I'm at the computer, my back is turned. and he's asking me for the report. I'm like, I'll be done in a couple of minutes. I'm still working on it. Then he comes back, I want this report now. And I'm like, I'm working on it right now. So I'm sitting there typing, like, get up out this motherfucker. Then he comes up again and he's like, I want that report now. And I'm like, you'll get it when I'm done. And so then he like charges across the room. And so I stand up, and because I was so conditioned, I'm like, okay, I never thought about defending myself against coworkers. Yes, both of us had our firearms and everything that we have on a duty belt, but I felt so powerless. And I just stand there like, what the fuck is he about to do? And then what was fucked up about it was there was a black sergeant, and he was in the hallway. And so he heard the exchange. He saw him charge across the room at me, but then he just played like he was looking at the bulletin board. And I'm just like, I just want to get out of here so bad. I hit the print button on the computer, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm getting out of here. Hindsight looking back, I should have taken my black ass down to the magistrate's office and pressed charges. That's what the fuck I should have did. Hindsight 2020. And that's why I say, or I bring up and talk about this more, especially, when people get treated like shit at their workplace, is that you don't know any better. We're not properly prepared on how to handle these types of situations. Our parents, they raise us, go get a good job, get the fuck out of my house and just do you. But they don't teach us about what they're sending us off to. And there's things that I've experienced, the military, the job force, that my mom doesn't even know about. But I'm like, I talk to her like, Mom, I wish you had more, business savvy or had a savvy mind. I'm not supposed to be out here in the workforce. I wish you established something so that I wouldn't have to be out here, on this, I don't want to call it a plantation, but it really is. We are preparing our children to go out here and deal with these tyrants, these bigots, these assholes that treat us and treat our children like shit. Military, civilian too, because my mom always thinks, the military is honorable, this, and that. But I'm like, Mom, I have to go through some shit being in there. And I'm lucky enough to connect with other people who have had a similar plight, because that gives me that little bit of hope that, okay, it wasn't all bad, and I've connected with people who I would have never connected with, had I just stayed in Cincinnati. I would not have my son, I met his father, when I joined the military. So I would not have him. I would not have my best friends. I wouldn't have Kareem. I wouldn't have a lot of people who I've connected with, and we have that connection of being veterans. And as much as I say it does get to me sometimes where I'll get into a mood like, I'll have those days where I remember the bad stuff I went through, but I think about it again too, like, I look back at, our ancestors. We've had ancestors who fought in every war on this soil, and I can't take away from that, it was our blood, sweat, and tears that put into making America what it is today. So, I'm not gonna let anybody else take that from me. Brandon asks, do I regret? Yeah, I can't even talk. Hold on, take a sip. Here we go. It's very rare for a chief and an officer to lose rank. That's very true, because I had a lot of chiefs who say it takes an act of Congress to take my anchors away. So they'll do whatever they want to do and get away with it. The defense attorney will try to twist the whole narrative to get his client the best deal. Yep. I really don't understand defense attorneys, but hey, it's part of our system to where, this person, just because they're on that table on that side of the courtroom, has to have a fair fight with the other side. Very few of y'all know, my abuser, he was arrested for violation of my protective order last year, where he decided to have a jury trial. And although the probable cause was there to arrest him for violating my protective order, by the time it came to that jury trial, he painted this picture that he just retired from the Navy. He has a child in college and whatever he wanted to paint the picture with. So the jury moved to acquit him. So I talk about that on my Surviving Military Domestic Violence channel. They found a loophole. The prosecutor prepared me because that's a defense. When it comes to a violation of a protective order, if I'm not dead or have a gunshot wound or something, they're likely to acquit it. So that was the site that they played. Let's have a jury trial, and because she ain't dead, and then we'll go ahead and play it out as that. Yeah, I violated it, but because I have an honorable discharge. This is the abuser. Then I'll get the jury to be swayed by that because in the eyes of the public, the military can do no wrong. So, and then also too, the military did not prosecute him or do anything because he was also active duty when he violated. Ain't shit happened. So that's why at times I do get into my moves like fuck this shit. I don't want to consider myself, a honorable veteran when this, abuser, this monster can also claim the same thing. That's just how I feel about that. So you said I've experienced that, and the way I volunteered to go to Afghanistan. Like I said, that project you working on, I can't wait. Once I was a Marine, all right, 100% true. And if anything, I was originally going to join the Marines. I really wanted to because, of course, I was 17 and I had a super crush on the recruiter for the Marines. And that was the first time, like, in my immediate area, it was the uniform. I'll admit that it was the uniform. But for the fact that, he was sharp, his fade was sharp, skin was flawless, in shape, spoke very, professionally, it was just a air of confidence about him that I was really drawn to. So I really wanted to, but because I was 17, the only branch that will let me join at 17 was the Navy. But yeah, so don't be mad at me, but sometimes I wish I did join the Marines because where I'm at right now, and because I did not become a firefighter, but I was pulled towards law enforcement, and I really have, I've taken a liking into, firearms, the art behind it, it really just intrigues me. So I wish I had that firearms training and things like that because oh my gosh, I'm playing catch up now. And the people who are teaching me are soldiers and Marines. Like they are A+ with their game. Make sure you head over on Instagram. My coworker, milspec_mojo. Milspec mojo. Like that's my coworker. He is on his game. He is legit. And then my other coworker is Precision Gorilla. They are the ones who are getting your girl on point. And Brandon asks, do you regret joining? Yes and no. I'll tell you the no first. No, I don't regret joining because, as I said, I've made some really lifelong friendships, connections. I've gotten my son out of it. His father is a wonderful man, and his bonus mom, she's also a veteran. And that's our connection. Like we would not have known each other, if it wasn't for the Navy. Kareem, my son's godfather, he would not have his Uncle Kareem if it wasn't for the Navy because I met Kareem through my son's dad. They were best friends, and that's how I met him. And so all of us, we just have that support system for each other. My best friend Kim, I'm not sure if she's watching because I did not share it or text her that was going live. I met her. When was this? We were on our first ship together. So we go way back to being skinny with no children. Then my other best friend Shauna, we met in A school, and just different things like that. I would not have had these connections. I only speak to like two people I know from high school, but a handful of people that I served with, I still keep in contact with them until this day. And then even meeting new people, once we find out that we are veterans, we have that connection, it's like, okay, that's that instant conversation piece, and then we just build on it. I also, I don't regret because, like I said, I live in Cincinnati, and had I not joined the Navy, the only thing that I had going, or what was in my immediate future, and no disrespect to my parents, but my father, he did not leave anything for me to build on. That side of the family, as far as immediately in Cincinnati, didn't want to have nothing to do with us, so they did not have any plan for me after 18, except the child support was stopped. But my mom, with the example, sign up to go to the University of Cincinnati and rack up student loans. And I did not want to do that, so that was my way out of her house and out of that situation. And it really has, I'm not this same girl anymore. I'm not her. I'm not her. And when I say that, it's because I've had to go through a lot of tough situations, I've had a lot of tough days. And when I look back on them, things that should have broken me, or is that a word? Things that should have broke me. I think that sounds better. Things that should have broke me, or things that I did not think that I would make it through, I did. And that just gives me that little bit of pride. And whenever I'm facing another tough situation, I have that much confidence in myself that I can get through it. And then even become, I don't want to say a mentor. I don't see myself as a mentor, but, I see myself, with the help of Art Kathy, go get your natal chart reading, help from her, as a resourceful person. I never tell people to do something that either I haven't done or I will not do. But I see myself as being very resourceful and helpful for other people, who have questions, or who's anticipating that next step, or is in a tough situation. I can legit sit there and say, look, I've been through that. I know how it feels. I know how it feels to be in a hostile work environment. I know how it feels, when for instance, is getting ready to, go do the job of the unknown. But first, you have to fight the battle of having a hostile work environment, have coworkers and upper chain of command that want to take you out. It was a certain point in time where, when I was, on local law enforcement, I would have felt more safe being out in the public without a firearm, without a duty belt, without a ballistic vest, than I did being around coworkers and I'm wearing all of that, you know? So it really takes you to a point where it really humbles you, because you start learning the rules of the game. You start learning who's there for you. You start learning, through trial and error and through experience, different personality types, how to survive in certain situations. Because you can go to the gym and lift the most heaviest weight and can run miles upon miles upon miles. But if you don't have your mental game right to fight that mental warfare and be strategic and tactful, and get to a place where you know how to control your emotions, because I'm a firm believer that when your emotions are high, your intelligence is low. And a lot of weak people, a lot of evil people are out to play with your emotions, to get you emotional, to get you acting out of emotions. Because when they see that they can't beat you on an intellectual level, they'll fuck with your emotions. And once you succumb to that, that's when they win. But if you stay on your mental game, you have that mentality of winning, then you can legit survive in plenty of situations. But you have to go through some stuff. You have to know who you can trust, and you have to trust yourself, first of all. So being in the military prepared me for that. I learned the game real fast. And then once I saw what it was, I just left. I did not want to play that anymore. I went ahead and quit while I was ahead, because I felt as though if I had stayed in, being up on game the way I was, the only thing I could do was stay longer and then, get caught up in some stuff because of somebody who was jealous, somebody who didn't like me. Because as I was getting out, I had made E5. I made E5 in 5 years. I came in as an E1, and I knew I did not want to be an ABF, but I mastered and learned it so fast that, when the advancement exams came out, I knew every question on there, and the only reason why it took me, when I made E4, you have to take a test to make E4. I made it the first time up. Like, as soon as I had my baby and I went back to the boat, I took the advancement exam and I passed it, And then when it came up for me to take the test for E5, it took me a little bit longer because what was it? I passed the test, but I just did not have enough award points because I did not go on a deployment. So I just needed some more award points. But how I made up for that was, what was it? The times where I took the test, but it did not advance, that was points that helped me eventually get the rank of E5. But then at that time, I got out. So my DD 214 reads that I'm an E4, but when you Google my name for the advancement exams, it showed that I made E5, but my permanent rank is E4. Where are we at with our comments? I don't say thank you everybody for leaving comments and talking about this. Like I said, I didn't really know how to get this information out because you want to talk about it, but then you'll start talking, I'll record it, then I'll start over. I'm like, this is boring, but I actually have feedback and we're going live. So yeah, I have a lot of information out there. I'm jumping from this topic to that one, but like I said, somebody who's joining can sit here and listen and make, a educated decision. A lot of people don't regret joining. We just wish we knew what we were truly getting into. And that's exactly it. They don't tell you. I mean, we're so used to, we start a job. If this job sucks, we'll just go ahead and quit and find something else. The military, you can't. That job will suck ass. You got to stick it out. You got to stick that shit out. You can't run. And the thing of it is, who do you run to? Who do you run to when shit is happening? So my thing is, I refer people to call the what is it, the IG hotline, because you don't know who to reach out to, especially when the ones that you should be able to report it to are the ones causing the hostile work environment or bullying you or harassing you and things like that. And then, the ranks close. The thing that the recruiters don't give you is the whole spill and what really goes on. There's enough veterans in our community that someone who is a prospect of joining should be able to come to. And that's why I'm using this platform here. You have a lot of people on YouTube who will say, oh my gosh, I joined. Now, the Air Force, people seem to be happy when they join the Air Force. Maybe I should have joined the Air Force, but I don't think my ASVAB score was high enough. But yeah, Air Force people seem to be really happy when they join. A lot of people are just intimidated, like they don't want to talk about it, because the fear of the reprisal, the reprimand, things like that have happened. But you have a right to talk about your experience. You're not supposed to, just make up stuff, but you have a right to, talk about your experience and how it has changed you, positive and negative. So we have more veterans who talk, and held these kind of, or made these kind of videos to help new prospects. They'll be able to think twice, like, yeah, you might be joining for college in a Camaro, but this group over here is joining to get paid training on how to be domestic terrorists. And you have to work side to side with them. You sleep on the same berthing with them. You'll use the same showers. You'll eat off the same utensils. They'll even be your chain of command where they'll tell you what to do. And because they don't like your black ass or they don't like that you sit down to pee, they're going to make your life hell. And there's nothing you can do about it. That's why I'm really happy that when these cases, such as that Coast Guard lieutenant or that Navy submarine captain and other people like that, when they stand up and report these things, get together, report them to the investigation department or whoever can step in and stop it and actually prosecute it and, find sufficient evidence to intervene, that's always a great thing. Kareem said, I don't regret it, but there was more bad experiences than good. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not going to lie. I regret not joining. I wanted to enlist in the Air Force or the Navy. Exactly. And that's what a lot of people say. My mom, I mean, one of the reasons why I joined, because my mom, she wanted to join the Navy. And so I joined, not only because, to make her proud, but, I did join to make her proud because I wanted to do something that she wasn't able to do. But then also just get out of the norm. I did not see myself staying in Cincinnati just doing whatever. At the time, I was working at Kroger's, and I didn't see myself working all this time at Kroger's. Kroger sucked. I mean, it's good to go shop there, but shit, when I was working there, no, no, no. And what was funny, my supervisor at Kroger's went to high school with my mom. So she had been at Kroger's since she got out of high school. And then the other cashier that I worked with, um, her brother and my mom had dated for a little while, and there she was at Kroger's working night shift with me. And I'm like, I can't do this. I gotta go. I gotta get up out of there. But yeah, if anything, people in the Air Force seem very happy, very happy. So if anything, if I do regret, I regret not joining the Marines or not qualifying for the Air Force because they want you to have a certain ASVAB score. And then you said basically if you joined at 18, but the time we turned 19, you had to be an adult. You were thrust in situations with real and immediate consequences. Exactly. And the thing of it is, we weren't properly prepared to deal with this stuff. Coming from my little circle in Cincinnati, yeah, I knew that, Norwood was a sundown town. Don't be over there after dark. I knew that jobs suck. I knew that fights break out, and I knew that people get arrested and went down to the Justice Center. A lot of the stuff that I was exposed to, I'm like, damn, I did not know this stuff happened in the world. I was not properly prepared for a lot of stuff. It was crazy. And, you don't expect other adults to talk to you the way they do, and you have no recourse. I mean, I knew in my mom's house, she'll cuss me out and talk to me however. But I thought after I left her house, no other adult can talk to me like that. And that's the part that really break you down internally. Cause it's like, yes, I'm an adult. Yes, I'm paying taxes now. Yes, I'm being productive. But yeah, I have somebody cussing me out because I got the wrong paint at hazmat or something. Like really? That's some bullshit. So I was not properly prepared for that. It was crazy. And then Kareem said that in the shit bags who was 20 years as an E5. And now I said that too, it's if you're in for 20 years and it's those who just slide by, they just show up every day. Not because they're doing a stellar performance, they just show up and they were eligible to reenlist. They have one leadership quality. They have no ambition, zero drive. They are abusers at home, but yet they're in charge of you. That's the shit that I really cannot explain. I'm like, wow, this is some bullshit. This is crazy. And recruiters can legally lie and deceive recruits into joining without reprisal or punishment. The Air Force is far better. I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. And a lot of people don't understand, anybody can lie to you. The only places you can't lie at is in court. You cannot lie in court. But people can feed you anything, especially recruiters, and that's one of the things I'll talk about that, in a later video, like how to know your job is trash. Because, they'll will you in like, oh yeah, we'll give you this enlistment bonus, we'll do this, you'll have that. And you get there, you don't get any of it. But it's their job to sell you the Navy. It sucks because I'm pretty sure a lot of them don't go to bed, with a clear conscience at night because they were in the fleet. They joined and went through the same shit. And all being a recruiter is like, I get a break from being on the boat. I get a break from going out to sea. I get a break from this. So I can go sell the military for a little while, make it look good. And a lot of recruiters, they'll pick to go recruit back in their hometown so that they can use their uniform to get access to sex, because like, okay, like the Mike Jones thing back then, you did want me, now I'm hot, they all on me. They do that because they couldn't get it before, but now they come back in their uniform and they get access, to sex. So they go do that. But they experience this the same thing out in the fleet. They experience stuff and they were dirtbags, and you'll see them all dressed up, just because they went on deployment or, got a warfare pin or did this. Now, they get to go have a break. That's all being a recruiter is, a break. And they try to make the most of it because they're only there for a couple of years, between like 3 and 4 years, and then they going back out to sea or they'll choose to get out. I actually had two Navy recruiters. My first one, he was getting out because he wanted to be with his family. He did not want to go back out to sea. So my second recruiter, um, I forgot what his rank was. I believe he was a damage controlman. So he was just now coming on to shore duty. So it was his job to get me to the Navy. And he was the one who had told me about that accelerated high school program that helped me get up out of Cincinnati. So they were actually good. And he was the one who told me when I was climbing into the van, to go to boot camp in February, he's like, come back and make your hometown, better than how you left it or whatever. I forgot what he said, but leave here, but then come back. Don't forget about your hometown. And that's why it's stuck in me. I want to give back to Cincinnati and do great things and help make it, so that other teens and children who grew up like me don't have to have this experience of just being thrown out into the wolves or thrown out into the world in order to survive. I had a few tell me not to do what planning to do. And Ed from VA, I'm glad you're on here because I need to make you a moderator. It says always relevant subjects on this channel. Thank you. Planning to retire in less than 2 months. Congratulations. Congratulations. And he said the Air Force's military the Air Force the Air Force's military base sucks, but they are more people oriented than the Navy. Yes. The people who I've met who are in the Air Force, my one of my big sisters, my sorority sister, she was very personable, very, very personable. And that was something I had never experienced, on a large scale from women in the military, because a lot of times, a lot of women in the Navy become very hard, become very rugged, and it comes with the job because you have to, I don't know, assimilate with being with all men. And of course, there is men out there who still feel as though women should not have been allowed to be in the military, especially Black women. And as a result, a lot of them become very hard. And you'll hear it a lot where they'll say, well, I don't, and here's a cuss word, I don't fuck with other females. I just fuck with men because, females and all this other shit. And they really, I think they wish that they could stand up and pee. Like they really lack the feminine grace and things like that. I always made sure when I went to work, even now in my job now, I get up, I do my makeup, I spray on perfume, and I know that I am a woman when I go to work. Yes, my job fields have been male dominated, but I'm not one of them. I never picked up a cigarette. Beer is disgusting. I have no tattoos. And times when I can get away with it at work, I'll carry a purse. I'll make sure that. And here's the thing, like in the Navy, my rate as a ABF, we were called the greats because everything we had was purple. Our pipes were purple. Our shirts we wore was purple. So everything I still have to this day is purple. But I love being a woman. I know that I am a woman, and you still just have that softness about you that's oftentimes lost with being a woman in the military. And a lot of times it's done for protection. If you come off as rugged and hard, you can go toe to toe with the guys. Me, I'll go toe to toe with you. But yes, while I'm going toe to toe, I might have a tear shed, my voice might quiver, but goddamn it, we going toe to toe, okay? My toenails are painted purple, but we still gonna go toe to toe. Goddamn it, I'm gonna stand up for myself, and you gonna put some respect on it. I might cry later, but when I show up, it's game time. But the Air Force ones, are very soft. They have their feminine grace. I'm not saying all of them. I'm not painting, everybody like that, but I'm just saying I've encountered more Air Force women who are, kind-hearted, softy, very feminine. Where are we at? Kay Powell says our Marines shared a barracks with Air Force personnel and were shocked at the disparity. The Air Force was so much better. The Marine Command went out of its way to make things hard. And you know what? You know what that brings to mind is that movie Full Metal Jacket. Where the Glock guy and Private Powell and all that. And I've never watched that movie until they showed it when I was in the local police academy. They showed the first like 30 minutes of it where they're in boot camp. And I'm like, damn. And it really is true because when I was in Florida, we shared a base with the Marines. So where my female barracks was, the Marines was right next door. And I remember one time it was hot as hell in Florida. We were in Pensacola, and all of the Marines were outside with their like bedding and all types of stuff. Like it was a full like barracks inspection. They was like tearing all their shit up. And I'm like, God damn, is that really necessary? To really do that. Yeah, it was crazy. I thought that stopped in boot camp because they did us in boot camp. Well, they'll come in there and strip your rack, like you'll be out of the chow hall. But one of your, I'll call it drill sergeants, will come back. And if one person had their socks folded wrong, they'll just tear the whole barracks up. But that hadn't happened since boot camp. But we're in A school, and I'm like, damn, they all are outside with they shit out there in the courtyard. It was crazy. And they say the reason behind it is because when you go on deployment or go overseas, they're trying to build you up to so that you're not soft in a time of war. You're prepared for battle. You have the warrior mindset and all types of stuff. But I'm like, it really fucks you up because you're a young impressionable adult. 18. So this stuff still carries with you for the rest of your life. And then you get those other people who take it to the extreme where they run their house like, it's a little miniature boot camp. Remember, if you go and watch on YouTube, The Last Days of Left Eye's dad was in the Army. And she said the same thing. He ran our house like it was a boot camp. Like her and her siblings would be in a bed. He'll come wake them up because it was a pen on the floor. And he'll have them at attention and, really getting them in order to the fact that, or to the extreme that when she went to rehab, she's in rehab making her bed military style, like, yeah, that stuff sticks with you. And then he said on deployment, it was hellish until the Air Force showed up. They looked at our living conditions and said, hell no, within a month we had better housing, food, and services. Like I said, I would definitely point people to the Air Force if you can. Go buy a ASVAB book. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll put it in the description. Buy you an ASVAB book. Also, join as an officer. If there's anything I do regret, I regret coming in enlisted. I really do. Enlisted sucked ass. I mean, you're at the bottom of the totem pole. Everybody cuss you out, tell you what to do. Your barracks, or where you sleep at sucks. When I served on an amphib back in Virginia, and what an amphib is, it's a smaller ship that doesn't have a reactor on there. And then we also take on Marines and drop them off at the beach because we can pull closer to land. And so on that boat, all the women on board, we shared the same sleeping space. So it was about 80 of us in one space. And let me tell you, it was absolutely horrible. It was disgusting because you would think women are cleaner, but no, like we'll have an entire trash can that's overflowing with sanitary items. You'll have those who want to get in their rack with their uniform on, ain't washed their ass, just got in there, and they do that all the time. You have those who go in your laundry bag and steal your clothes out of there. It was, oh my gosh. And because I'm on late, I know my son is not watching. I have witnessed fights in the female berthing. That's what it's called, berthing, where all of us sleep and shower at. I've witnessed fights because this girl done stole this girl's bob. And what a bob is, a battery operated boyfriend. So they done got into a fight because she stole her intimate toy. Oh my gosh, it is freaking crazy. But when you're an officer, you get your own like wardroom suite or whatever it's called. So you may have a roommate where it's two of y'all, but you don't have to share a burden with 80 other women. And oh my gosh, I remember on my first boat, um, I don't even gonna get into that story, but it was some girls who didn't like me, so my rack was right by the door, so they would always like rip the sheets on my rack and then walk out, so that while I'm at work I get a call from the person in charge of the berthing, have Essex get her ass up here, make her rack. I'm like, I did. And I get up there and them hoes done pulled my damn sheet off and fucked up my damn rack to get me in trouble. So yeah. But yeah, I would definitely point you to becoming an officer and also the Air Force. And plus, the Air Force bases are always better. Now, when I had my son, I had him on an Air Force base. Now, that hospital, was birth control because I ain't have any more children. That was some shitty shit. But the gym was a whole lot better. The commissary and the exchange are usually a hell of a lot better than being on the Navy side. Like I worked out at the Navy gym up here, and all the equipment is all dated. It's not ergonomically correct. It's like some shit. But when you go to the Air Force side, they have top of the line stuff. Yes, it is a lot better on the Air Force side. And then some of my classes when I was in college was on Langley Air Force Base. So it was a lot easier to get on base. The gate guards was kinder. It's just parking was better. The base was a lot better, well kept. Am I making sense? No. It was better maintained than being on the Navy side. Um, we have it here. Elevation Allah, how are you? B1 Melanoid 300. And you said, I will say this. I know this from personal experience. The leading demographic for suicide in the military is now Black women. It is sad. And, get your thoughts. That's one thing, there's not a lot of support. They stress over your dental hygiene. You have to be dental ready to go on deployment, have all your shots be up to date, things like that. But it's still really taboo to maintain your mental health. Either you're not getting the time off work. One thing I hated about being, on a ship and being associated with the military is that it's very hard. And when I say hard, you go there, there's no chance for individuality as far as, just being yourself. You have to conform to whatever can get you through that work day and be around people who don't like you and you don't really like them, but they're really out to, get you kicked out or sacrifice you for something else. A lot of hard surfaces. You're walking on non-skid. You have either white walls or gray walls or whatever. There's nothing that is like really colorful or stimulating to the mind that encourages you to think or be creative. Your creativity is not welcome. We have the mission at hand. That's why in my home, I don't wear shoes in my house because I hate wearing shoes. My windows, I have my windows, the curtains are not drawn because if I can't see outside and can't see that I'm not floating, because the most depressing thing to me was when I would go and look outside when I was out to sea, and I'll see nothing but water. I don't see any land. I don't see any buildings. I see no trees. I just see water on water on water. So it was times where when I was out to sea, I would just stay within the skin of the ship. I never saw or went out to see sunlight because it was just fucking depressing, like, wow, this is not normal. So that's why here at the house, my windows are open. I have to see outside. I have to look out and see that I'm not floating. And, a lot of women are forced to go through artificial means to suppress normal feminine functions, such as having a period and things like that, because, you have to work, you're doing all this, and just that time to be emotional or that time to where you want to just, okay, I need some time for myself to balance is not welcome. So yeah, you go through a lot. You're really out of your element. You're taken out of a natural environment and you have to survive and coexist in this artificial environment. It's real crazy. It's real fucked up. But if anything, I'm happy that I got out, because to have that freedom to be here at my house, okay, I don't have to get in the shower wearing shower shoes because, other people done been in there and there's pubic hair on the floor and, all types of germs. I got to wear shower shoes. Then, if I'm laying in the bed and I want something to drink, I can just get up and walk to the refrigerator and get it. Versus, I have a water bottle stash right here, or I got to get fully dressed to go to the mess desk to get something, and I can legit take a break. I don't want anybody here yelling or raising hell. I want peace. I want to laugh. I want to smile. I don't use any military terminology, even when I was in. I did not say, this is the bulkhead. This is the fucking wall. I don't say I'm going to go use the head. I'm going to go to the bathroom, and that's the sink. That's the toilet. I really did not take on that mentality and assimilate into that lifestyle. Like, I'm still an individual. I'm still a person, and my name is Taisha. Like, it was a point in time where I didn't even know my first name was Taisha because everybody would either call me Petty Officer, ABF3, or Essex, or Airman Essex. So it felt really good when I got out to be Taisha. That's me. I'm Taisha. So yeah, and that's just one thing with focusing on mental health and not being ashamed to request it, but also making work environments that stimulate a healthy mental well-being is essential. Um, I saw when this one carrier called the Nimitz came back off deployment, my best friend was on there, and I'm so glad she got off. I'm so glad that she's safe. But within a matter of days of them coming off of deployment, there was a sailor who came off, murdered his spouse, and then committed suicide. And if you look on my channel, I have that video where I was there, documenting the homecoming. And so you see people who are, kissy face. I'm happy to see you. But I know how that feels because that day that my best friend came off deployment, I was happy to see her, just happy to be with her. The next day, my abuser, he was coming off his ship. He went back to Hawaii to ride his ship up to Washington, and he was coming in that next day. So one day I'm happy to see my best friend, I'm just happy to have my support system here. And the next day, this motherfucker come in. I'm like, now I know how it feels like. No, keep their ass out the sea. Don't send them home to me. Because that's when pure hell started, and a lot of times it's a fucking nightmare. So there needs to be proper interventions, to focus on healthy mental states, in the Navy. Many women in the Navy, Army, Marines tended to be very hard. Yes, they have built up their guard. I used to get annoyed, but then I saw what they had to be in order to heck, I messed that all up. But then I saw what they had to be in order to thrive in their world. Exactly. And that's why I got out. Once I was getting close to getting out, I just really I love being a mom, and it wasn't natural to get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, get my baby from daycare, bring him home, and just have just enough time to feed him, give him a bath, and put him in the bed. Then get up at 4 o'clock in the morning the next day, wake him up out of his sleep to drop him off at 6. It was really eating at me that I did not have a chance to be a mom. Like, I really missed out on his first 2 years of life. I got out. When did I get out? I got out when he was 3. Yeah, he was 3. So I missed his first 3 years. Daycare raised him, and his dad, because his dad was on shore duty. So I missed out on being a mom. And my worst fear, like every time I went out to sea and I was coming back, I was so scared that he wouldn't know that I'm about to cry. I would be so scared that he wouldn't know that I was his mommy. I was fearing that I would get off the boat, get to the car, and he'll cry. Like, who is this touching me? Who is this? But his dad was great, and reminding him, like, this is mommy. My pictures were everywhere. So he never forgot that I was his mommy. But it was so, so heartbreaking that each time I went out and I came back, oh my gosh, y'all making me cry. When I would come back, and he'll be so different. Like, he's talking more, his hands would be bigger. He done outgrew his shoes. That was the hardest part. So if anything, like when you saw like women had to be tough and suicide with the women and stuff like that, yes, because we are suppressing, what nature wants us to be. Oh, and that was so hard. But my baby, he knew that I was his mommy. And I was like, he was the reason why I got out. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna get out, get a regular job, and I'll witness his milestones and be there for him growing up. Y'all done made me cry. These tears gonna fall any second. Try to like blink them back in. And then you say, in the Navy, I guess that nonsense worked because I was numb on deployment. Yes, yeah, that's one thing too. I noticed that I became very numb, and that's one thing that I have to watch out for. Because I was in the Navy, then also, now I work in a male-dominated profession in law enforcement. No, you can't show emotion all the time. No, you have to suck it up. The worst call or the worst calls that I go on is with children. It was one time where I remember I got dispatched first thing in the morning was to a toddler who was dead. And when I got there, this baby was in the bed, never got out the bed. And so it just, in my mind, I'm looking like, wow, this could have been my baby. I'm getting up to like, hey, let's go eat breakfast. And they're dead, died overnight. And as much as I wanted to break down, grab that baby, cry, I had to, do what I had to do to investigate the scene, do what I had to do. And so I remember I had to take the call because the male officers, a lot of them get more emotional than us, believe it or not, especially when it comes to children. So of course I took primary on it, and so the other officer, he's at the door, and he come and he asked me, "Am I okay?" And as much as I wanted to break down, I looked over at him and I'm like, I'm fine. And I like to get a little chuckle. I'm like, so they can believe that I'm fine. Well, at that moment, it wasn't a mom, it was the babysitter who was in charge of the child. She saw me look over and just like, yeah, I'm fine, and just a little chuckle. She starts flipping out, this is not funny. Why are you laughing? And I'm like, okay, could you have to go from emotions real quick? And I'm like, I understand that this is, something that is very tragic for you right now, and I'm sorry for the loss right now. But I just kissed my son goodbye as I came to work. I'm somebody's mom. And this officer here was merely checking on me, and I was reassuring him that I was fine, okay? But don't think for a second that I'm heartless, because I'm the one who had to respond, and I'm here close up and personal, okay? I'm sensitive to what you're going through, but you have to be sensitive to me. I'm trying to be professional at the moment, but I also have feelings. I'm a person. I'm also a mother. So I had to cut it off at that. But yeah, we have to suppress these emotions and suppress what we're going through, but it's okay to be human, and you have to have a healthy place to release all of that stuff. But then too, Our families have to be sensitive because they don't know a lot of the stuff that we have experienced and went through in the military, or with certain professions such as law enforcement. So, for instance, just when I have a family member that wants to go toe to toe or get confrontational and yell at me and try to belittle me, I will react. And I'll admit that, because I'm like, you might see me as your family member, that you grew up with, but you can't come at me in that manner. You have to respect my boundaries. And that's one thing that, if anything, I want people to realize, is that you have a family member or a friend who is a veteran, there are some things you don't know about. So you have to respect their boundaries. You can't just go off, or upset their living conditions, or toy and pick with them. We've been through some shit that you could never understand. So just have that bit of sensitivity and that respect for them, because there's a lot of stuff that gets suppressed. There really is. There's some things that are suppressed. Like I said, there's things that my mom will probably never know that I went through. There's some things that I went through that nobody will probably know. I'll just take it to the grave. But there are some things that we have went through. So be sensitive and respect your veteran because of that. Have a soft spot in your heart for it. And then also too, veterans, just know that there's going to be that communication error. So unless you communicate and share things, then your loved one will not know what you have been through. And you also establish those boundaries as well. Just don't automatically assume, or just shut them out. Bring them in if you can, and go from there. He said, Curry said the female birthing was nasty as hell. Yes, it was. The male birthing was worse. Yes, I've heard some stories about the male birthing, yeah. And since we already putting everything out open on the table, I talked with a couple of submariners, like I said, my abuser, he was one. And so, it was a point in time where I was bitter last year, and just, I blanketed all submariners to be this way. And, I steered clear, and my defenses was high. But as the universe would have it, they sent me some, guys who were on submarines, and they were the opposite. And I'm like, wow, okay, so that really softened my heart and helped me in my healing process. But yeah, they told me stories about, how it's kind of like a prison underwater. They say that the submarine life is like being in jail, but underwater, because the guys, there's some weird guys down there, and when you're underwater, and I thought it was bad being on a carrier, you don't see land, but being underwater, you can't go outside. That's not a normal environment for a human being. So yeah, it's gonna be some fucked upness that gets displayed. But one guy, he told me a story about a guy who, spent all of his off duty time in his rack, masturbating and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow. I've heard stories from the guys when I worked in the pump room about, the happy sock, the sock that stands up on its own. So yeah, there's some shit that go on. There's some shit, these artificial environments. And yeah, some fucked upness happens. The birthing still sucks for officers. I hated it. But let me know, like, you only had, like, it was either you in there, or what was it, a couple other people, and because on the outside looking in, we think it's cake, we think it's super lovely, because you have um enlisted sailors to clean up the officers' birthing. They clean up the officers' mess, or I won't say mess, but the wardroom where you eat at, they clean up behind you. They bring you your food. On the enlisted side looking in, it looks super lovely. So that's why I always envied it and wanted that kind of treatment. Because I managed to avoid going cranking. And what cranking is, um you have to go and spend like 90 days washing dishes and cleaning up and taking out trash bags from the mess decks, or for civilians, to use that terminology, the eating areas. And they had to be to work early as hell, stay there late as hell, and they had these big ass trash bags going to the dumpster. That's the stuff that I did not want to do, so I was able to avoid cranking. My Navy folk know about that. So give me a thumbs up if you avoided cranking, or still give me a thumbs up if you went cranking, but you survived. Okay, I didn't have to go. I'm like, I ain't going. Night, y'all. Peace to the chat. Good night, last one. I know it's late too. It's after 9. Well, it's what, midnight on the East Coast. So yeah. Let me know if you want me to also pick a different day, and I can also be earlier, because I know over here on the East Coast, I mean on the West Coast, I'm 3 hours back. So let me know what works for y'all. If you want me to go live earlier, more frequently, or switch out the days, because I'm seeing that some of my favorite YouTubers, and I know with all of us being great like minds, are also live at the same time, and I don't want us to have to pick and choose, who to watch. So I could switch days, or be earlier. I really just showed my family member this live chat. That is beautiful. That is really beautiful. And I thank you for your service. I mean, a lot of people don't, I don't know. You have some people who are like, I'm not thanking military for their service. They go out and kill people, and they go out and do this. And technically, yeah, that's absolutely right. Absolutely right. But, taking a moment out to really understand what we went through and what we endure, you know, that's an understanding from a civilian, or someone who didn't join, or even someone close to us. That's the biggest sign of respect and understanding that you can give us. But then also us too, not being a butthead in return. Like I said, I have the other channel, Surviving Military Domestic Violence. And I thought that if my situation, me being a veteran, to marry someone who was active duty, I had an understanding. I know what it feels like to go out to sea. I know what it feels like that night before you have to go out to sea. I know what it feels like to have a duty day and want to come home to a peaceful home. I know about hostile work environments. But the mistake that was made is when you come home and raise that hell on your family members. The one thing that pissed me off the most was that, this person, yes, they served this many years active duty, but yet they were not a leader, So what they couldn't do at work, they came home and wanted to exercise that at home. And that's not right. You don't come home and be a butthead because you don't get your way at the job. And just because you're older, or if you're dual military, if you have a higher rank than your spouse or loved one, that does not give you the right to want to sit here and put down the iron fist and rule everything. Communication is key, and understanding, and a strong sense of empathy. Just that respect. That respect goes a long way. Just having that kind heart. Like, I know if me and Kareem happen to be in the same space, we served, shoulder to shoulder out to sea. So I know it's certain things that I cannot create or recreate a situation that he experienced out to sea. I can't act that way that those, who tormented him act, and still expect him, and expect him not to react to me. You have to have that understanding, like, yes, we've been through some shit. So you want to be honest, you want to be upfront, and you have to be sensitive to what that person went through. But then he also knows too, he just can't come into a situation just because he's a veteran and run the show. So it's that mutual balance, that respect. So I'm so glad that you are watching this with your family members. That is so awesome. So I welcome you to join, and I'm really happy about going live each week, because I'll sit here and plan out videos, but usually, I'm not really giving you the real Taisha. I'm not showing you who I am. I'm just another character on YouTube. And a lot of people on YouTube are characters. They get on and play this character. Hi, I have Fenty Beauty, and do you like my shimmer? That's that's not me. I'm gonna get on here, I'm gonna say cuss words, I want to talk to you about some shit I've been through. I want to provide you with resources. I want you to think of me as your sister or your resourceful friend. I want to show you that there is nothing that you can't do. I'm out here researching things. I go do some crazy stuff that other people may be intimidated or not know that they can do. I want to make more videos about doing for self. That's one thing that I've been into lately is doing for self. This entire year so far, and I have to go back or hold on. After January 4th, that's when my son went back to the East Coast. I have not purchased fast food at all. And that's because I'm at home cooking for myself. I make my own meals. I'll copycat a restaurant recipe, but it's done really good on my wallet. It's done really good as far as my body. And I feel really good because I can do for self. Nothing is really secret. You have the power to recreate and do anything you want. I'm currently researching stocks. I joined this group on Facebook called the Abakas, Abakuas. One of the reps for it is a brother named Tompkins. James Tompkins. If you want more information, inbox me or leave a comment, and I'll find you and get the information to you. But I'm learning stocks. I really don't want to keep putting my money in, certain accounts and trust somebody else to flip it. I'm gonna learn it myself. It's not secret. The information is out there. As far as getting in shape, I want to reach my 100th birthday and beyond and still be sexy. So I know that when you become 100, you get a signed letter from the president. So we need a good president. make sure we got somebody real cool in office, by the time I turn 100. But yeah, it's just I want to just be the best version of myself, but I want to also be around other people who are doing the same thing and encourage others to be their best self. We've all been through some tough shit. We've been through some horrible shit, but that does not make us, and it damn sure didn't break us. So what we can do is heal from it and just get better, and just being this tall, awkward girl from Cincinnati, I've been able to do a lot of things because I joined the military and because I've met other influential people. So I just want to encourage others to do the same thing. Let's make the most out of every day. The one thing I hate is hearing my mom, I wish I could have did this, I should have could have did this, blah blah blah. No, whenever I hear her on that bullshit, I'm sitting here planning something else I can do that is great, that is grand to just be that much better. Because I know if I do that and I'm that much better, my son is better, my future grandchildren and great grandchildren, and those else other people who are associated or attached with me are doing it too. And I'm not saying that I'm doing great things. The universe, the ancestors, whatever, and other people are doing great things inspire me. So keep on inspiring me. I'm friends with majority of y'all on social media. If not, we need to become friends. And if you have any questions, I want to start putting more content on my Patreon page. I think for Patreon, it's only like $1 to subscribe. So if you I want to start my series of trying to teach you guys to do a YouTube channel, okay? Because a lot of my friends on here, a lot of my subscribers have their own stories, have their own expertise and knowledge that needs to be out there. So I don't consider myself a huge YouTuber, but because you're watching me, that makes me, just happy. But I want to help everybody get started with a YouTube channel. So that's going to be one of the first, well, I think I have a video over there already, how to make money on social media. But I'm going to put a second video up. It's going to show you how to get started with your own YouTube channel, okay? And yeah, let's start monetizing our lifestyle. Let's start, really building on our accomplishments, our expertise, and our knowledge, and just encouraging others to be great. Okay. Yes, there's a million some channels on YouTube, but yours will be one of a kind and it'll be valuable. And we're going to go ahead and do that. What do we have here? Thank you so much for giving this K-Pal. Thank you so much for giving this live chat. I saw the emotion when you spoke about my son. Those things stay with you, and it takes so long to unpack and process. It really do. It really do. So thank you so much, Carissa. I got lucky. I did that import and work nights. There you go. I had somebody who made me go and meditate, and I still do that to this day. Meditation, oh my gosh, you don't do that out to sea. I remember on my shifts, I'll work 12, it'll be 12 on, 12 off. But by the time I got off, all I want to do was just take a shower and get in the bed because they had all kinds of bells, whistles, man overboard drills, just wake me the fuck up and get on my nerves. So yes, you need that time out to meditate, to just balance and center yourself, and it will be great, if just, a more welcoming atmosphere that promotes a healthy mental well-being is promoted across all branches, all jobs, and just people's lifestyle in general. So yeah, if you could share more with me about meditation. I have a meditation zone over there. I'm over there sometimes, but sometimes I just don't have anybody to bounce information off of. So now I'm gonna start hitting you up, Kareem. Um, may I suggest the Robinhood app to practice investing in Vanguard for actual long-term retirement? See, K-Pal, I need you to go ahead and start this channel because I actually use Robinhood religiously every day. I love this app, and I just found out about it when I was in Hawaii. And I started playing this game called Cash Flow. If you look in my channel list, I have a video. It says learn how to invest with cash flow. And I have it in there. And oh my gosh, I wish I had known about this sooner. Yes, K-Pal, since you're on here, go ahead and post your invite link so that people can join with your invite link. And when you use an invite link from someone who's already using Robinhood, you get a free stock. My first free stock, I think it was Groupon. And Groupon at the time was like $3 and it jumped up to $6, so I sold it. But yeah, you get a free stock when you use an invite code. So please go ahead and post yours on this video so that other people can join. Thank you for mentioning that. And also Vanguard for long term. I posted it today on Facebook that, my son's savings account, I had it going for easy start CDs and things like that because I'm trying to build it up and then put it over into a money market. But I took his money out of savings because he was like gaining 24 cents a month and shit like that. I took his money, I bought shares of Boeing. And I bought into Boeing when it was about $387 per share. Within a matter of a week or two, Boeing is now trading at, like, I think when it closed today, it was at $418. So for every share that I had, I made about $30. That's what's up. That's how you do it. That's where it is. And also with me not going out to fast food spots, I have more money at the end of the month. Once I paid everything, I'm like, well, I have this much money. So what do? I put it over into Robinhood and buy shares of Boeing. Um, excuse me. I bought shares of what else am I holding? K-Pal, since you told me about Vanguard, like I said, I have a very unconventional way of trading. I just pay attention to what's trending and what is going on in the world. So right now, I know that the Raiders is going to Vegas. So I've been moving my money over into Vegas shares. So I've been getting a pretty sweet return on those things. So yeah, before I want to start getting into long term and holding shares that pays out dividends. K-Pal, we need to talk. I need you to keep sharing knowledge and information, please. And we need to monetize your knowledge. So thank you for dropping that. So please put your invite link for Robinhood on here. You said I am learning the ups and downs with about $100 on the Robinhood app. And since it's all free, long term, the Vanguard low cost funds for long term investing is hard to beat. Exactly. Vanguard and another one that I really like is Cisco. There's two Ciscos. You won't lose with either one. Yep. That's exactly it. And that's my thing. I've been reading a lot of articles about people who retire early and things like that. The best way to do so is to lower your everyday expenditures, if I say that word right, or your everyday cost of living. Stop buying trinkets, stop tricking off your money. And really, when you see how much money you have at the end of the day, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not as broke as I thought I was. I don't have to go drive Uber for extra money unless I want to. Fast food habits are expensive. Bad habits like, cigarettes and, drinking habits are expensive. Me, I love wine. I love wine pairing with food and things like that. But when I go out to a restaurant, when I do go, I just have water the whole time because I'm like, okay, you're gonna charge me, 3 times what that bottle of wine is, what that bottle of wine costs. And I experienced that firsthand. I went to an Indian spot a couple of months ago, and I'm like, yeah, I'll ball out. I'll have a glass of red wine. When I looked over there, he was pouring me a glass of barefoot wine and had the nerve to charge me 14 damn dollars. I'm like, that barefoot wine is only $8 damn in the store. I'm like, fuck this shit. And I order water, but now I cook, and if I do wine pairing, I do it at home. I don't play. And then at Costco, you get a big ass bottle of like Pinot Grigio for just like $6 at Costco, and that's the 150 liter or 150 milliliter bottle. And that's what they do. They go to Costco and buy the shit and put in a restaurant and charge you more for it. So I just eat at home. I really do. And I put my money into Robinhood. So hopefully, I acquire enough money to continue, once I get to wherever I'm going, because I know that Washington is not where I'm establishing roots, acquire land, property, more assets, and set my generations up for success. I do not want to fill out nobody's job application. And investing is the way to go. So make sure you inbox me, K Powell, connect with him, and get that investment money. We have to spread the word because so many don't know. I've been doing the same thing with fast food too. It's crazy how much money you save. Actually, that's what I'll do for next week's live video, because I talked about that too. I talked about the generational curse of being broke. But we'll talk about that more. I'll do that for next week's video. About investing, or I'll attract people with a thumbnail like, 10 ways to save money, or 10 ways to have $1,000 in 1 month, or something like that, to get people in. But they got to listen, and you see my nails, I don't go get my nails done. First, because that stuff is toxic. Second, I don't want to get my ass kicked, catch a roundhouse kick to the face for some acrylic nails, and it's just, that's money in my pocket. Like, yeah. I don't do any of that stuff. I just do for self. We have to do for self. And because one thing that we've been, as Black people, conditioned is that, because people wouldn't let us do certain things. No, you can't eat at this restaurant. No, you can't come here. But we just feel like, okay, instead of establishing our own, we'll, just to be there to feel important, we'll go pour out all this money. And we become lazy. How hard is it to go buy a foot spa at Walmart, put your feet in there, do your own pedicure at home? Like, why are you so repulsed by your own feet that you got to pay somebody else and get an ass kicking to get them groomed? I don't get it. Yeah. You said a $4,000 glass when it's $8 a bottle. Hell yes. I'll do a video soon on wine pairing. I've been wanting to do that. I went to a couple of get-togethers when I lived in Hawaii on wine pairing, and it's definitely an art, and it's so simple. It is so simple. So I'll do that soon. I'll probably connect with my girl Kelly on Facebook. She's my little sister. She worked for the sheriff's department, and I was on the police department. But that's my girl. I should connect with her because she is all about etiquette and just bringing back the art of homemaking. And that's one thing that we really lost out on, when we're choosing or being manipulated to, or being forced to go out and work, we forget the art of homemaking. And one thing that we can do is, get back into mending our clothes. If your clothes out have a hole in it, can you, put a patch on it? Can you put in a hem on some pants? Can you do wine pairing? These are little things that we've lost. But then, when somebody else mentions it as if it's brand new and I have this service, we pay out the ass for it when it's so simple to just get back to those old ways. My mom still crochets blankets and stuff. So yeah, we need to just get back into our old school ways. One thing that I want to do, my new car is coming up on needing a oil change. I really don't want to go pay. I want to, and now I might do a video on that too. I really don't want to go pay out the ass for an oil change. I really don't. I know how much it costs to DIY an oil change. It is so simple, especially being here on YouTube. You can put down how to whatever, and there's a video on it. So I really want to do my first oil change myself. So yeah, want to do that myself, or I'll ask one of the guys. Hey, do you have a garage I can use? You can walk me through this and help me. So yeah, I want to try that out myself. My son, I know that his dad, has him out there doing oil changes and all types of vehicle maintenance. So that's just awesome that he's learning these things so that he is do for self sufficient. So yeah, I'm not gonna keep y'all on here too much longer. I know it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, but I just wanted to thank y'all for joining me and helping me get this information out. Like I said, I really did not know how to talk about, my time in the military. I did not want to wait until Veterans Day and I'm feeling, grumpy and I'm in a bad mood, but I was able to present some good, get some not so good, but then also get some other people's feedback, but also hip us to pay attention to, yes, there are some not so good people in the military who are using it for all the wrong reasons and all the bad reasons. And so the information is out there. Follow this, and just be hip to the game. Leave your comments down below. Share this video, and I will see you next week. Definitely let me know if you want me to change the time or change the date. And also subscribe to me or join me on my other social media platforms. Make sure you go ahead and keep an eye on my Patreon page, okay? Because I want to start putting some resources over there for you guys. And yeah, I know that a lot of people hit me up about starting a YouTube channel. Yeah, you hit me up over there. I will help you get it up and going. And let's go ahead. Let's take over YouTube, okay? A lot of people are complaining about it and leaving it. It's doing me just fine. So let's take over, and I would like to see more of y'all connecting with me, and I can suggest your channels, and we just have this whole YouTube ecosystem of just great knowledge flowing around. So if that's it, y'all have a good night, have a great week, and I will see y'all in these social media streets. Have a good night.